FISHERIES Act No 4003-An Act to amend and compile the laws relating to fish and other aquatic resources of the Philippine Islands and for other purposes.
Chapter 1 Matters of General Nature. Article 1 Title of Act Fisheries to which it applies and officer change with its execution. The Section 1 title of this Act is Fisheries Acts. Section 2 Application of Provision. The provision of this Act shall apply to all fishing and fisheries in Philippines waters. The executive officers charged with execution of this Act. The Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources shall be executive officers charged with carrying out the provision of this Act, with authority to assign the direct executive control of the enforcement of its provision and the rules and regulations that may hereafter be promulgated in accordance therewith to such representative bureau office or service as said secretary may designate. Under Section 4, Instructions, Orders, Rules, and Regulations, as I said, the Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources shall from time to time issue instructions, orders, rules, and regulations consistent with this Act, as may be necessary and proper to carry into effect the provision thereof, and for the conduct of proceeding arising under such provision, and all licenses, permits, places, and contracts issued, granted, or made herein shall be subject to the same. All ordinances, rules, or regulations pertaining to fishing or fisheries, promulgated or enacted by the provincial boards, municipal boards, or council or municipal district councils shall be submitted to the Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources for approval and shall have full force and effect unless notice in writing of their disapprovals is communication by the Secretary to the board or council concerned within 30 days after submission of the ordinance, rules, or regulation. Or the Section 5 deputies authorized to enforce provision of this Act. The members of the Philippines Constabulary, members of municipal and municipal district police, members of the Secret Service Force, inspectors, guards, wharfingers of the Customs Service and such internal revenues, agent officers of Coast Guard, cutters and lighthouse keepers, and other competent officers, employees, or persons, as may be designated in writing by the Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources. After the Article 1, we also have the Article 2, the definition. Under Section 6, words and phrases defines, words and terms used in this Act shall be construed as follows. First is Philippine waters or territorial waters of the Philippines. Includes all waters pertaining to the Philippines archipelago as defined in the treaties between the United States and Spain. Next is the municipal waters. Include not only streams, lakes, and tidal waters induced with the municipality but also the marine waters. Person includes firm, corporation, association, agent, or employee. Next is open, applies to beds, banks, shell field zone, areas, and region in Philippine water which have not been brought within the operation of an order of closure promulgated by the Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Open season, that period of time during which fishing is permitted in a specified area or areas in Philippines water. Closed season, that period of time during which fishing is prohibited in a specified area or areas in Philippine water through an order of closure by the Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources. Sell and sale includes barter, exchange, and offering of or exposing for sale. Transport and transportation means all carrying or moving or causing to be carried or moved. Sponges, unless otherwise specified, such as clean or prepared sponges, shall be construed to mean sponges in their original or natural state and not prepared sponges. Fishery is the business of catching or taking, handling, marketing, and preserving fish or other aquatic products. Article 3 General Protective Provision. Section 7. Authority to declare and establish closed season. The Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources shall have authority subject to the approval of the Governor-General to declare and establish a closed season for fish, shellfish, or any other aquatic animals specified by him. After discussing the Section 7, we have Section 8, Duration of Closed Season. A closed season established by the Secretary of Agriculture and Natural Resources may be so defined as to cover a particular portion or portion of each successive year, or if deemed necessary for the public interest, it may be made to extend over any single period of time or not more than 5 years duration. Next is Section 9, Application of Closed Season. The order creating a closed season may be made applicable to the entire Philippines island or to any specified province or other territorial division therein, or it may be limited to a particular water or stream. Section 10, Issuance of Order for Closed Season. Such order shall be issued at least 2 months before the date of its taking effect, and if general, it shall be published in the official gazette only a weeks for 3 consecutive weeks prior to the same date.
Section 11. Prohibition of the use of obnoxious or poisonous substances in fishing. The use of any obnoxious or poisonous substance liable to stupefy, disable, or cause death of fishes or other aquatic animals for the taking of same or the placing of any such substance in fresh water or marine water, where it may cause the stupefaction, disablement, or death of fishes, and intended to cause such stupefaction, disablement, or death, or the gathering by any means of the fishes or other aquatic animals stupefied, disabled, or killed by the action of poisonous or obnoxious substance shall be unlawful. Section 12. Prohibition of the use of explosives in fishing. The use of dynamite or other explosives for the stupefying, disabling, killing or taking of fish or other aquatic animals, or underwater for any purpose except in the execution of bona fide engineering work and the destruction of wrecks or obstructions to navigation, or the gathering by any means of the fishes or other aquatic animals stupefied, disabled, or killed by the action of dynamite or other explosives shall be unlawful.
Chapter 5, Penal Provision. Article 14, Penalties for violation of the provision of the Act. Because of high consuming of time and storage, let's proceed to a important part, which is the Section 79, Penalty for unlawful taking of marine mollusca. Any person who shall take marine mollusca or any shell or valve thereof in Philippines waters contrary to any of the provision of art. The person who are not follow the law shall be punished by a fine of not more than 100 pesos or imprisonment for not more than 1 month or both in the discretion of court, and if the offense consists in the taking, selling, or transferring of undersized shells.
Section 81. Penalties for illegal taking of sponges. Any person who shall fish, collect, gather, sell, exchange, ship, or export sponges in violation of the provisions of Article 7 of this Act shall be liable to prosecution and upon conviction shall suffer the penalty of a fine of not less than 20 pesos and not more than 500 pesos for each offense, or by imprisonment not exceeding 6 months, or by both, such fine and imprisonment in the discretion of the court. Section 83. Other violations. Any other violation of the provisions of this Act or of any rules and regulations promulgated thereunder shall subject the offender to a fine of not more than 200 pesos or imprisonment for not more than 6 months, or both, in the discretion of the court.
Chapter 4, Penal Provision, Article 15, Effectiveness of this Act.
Section 84. Repealing clause. All acts, administrative orders, and regulations or parts thereof inconsistent with the provisions of this act are hereby repealed. Section 85. Date of taking effect. This act shall take effect on its approval, approved, December 5, 1932.